I never thought I'd be the one to write this, the person standing at the precipice, staring into an abyss I helped create. The air in my apartment still tasted like stale coffee and unspoken words, a suffocating blend I'd grown used to. Then, he walked in. Mark. My best friend since kindergarten. The guy who knew every embarrassing childhood story, every irrational fear, every single dream I'd ever whispered in the dark. He looked different. Smaller, somehow, despite his broad shoulders. His usual boisterous energy was a phantom limb, replaced by a nervous twitch in his jaw. We were supposed to be celebrating my promotion. The one I'd worked my ass off for, the one that meant stability after years of scraping by. I'd even bought a decent bottle of whiskey, the good stuff, the kind we only broke out for major life events. He just sat there, across the worn coffee table, his eyes darting everywhere but at me. So, I started, my voice a little too loud in the sudden quiet. To us. To finally making it. I raised my glass, a hopeful smile plastered on my face. He didn't raise his. He just stared at his hands, clasped so tightly his knuckles were white. Liam, he finally choked out, his voice raspy. There's something I need to tell you. The smile faltered. A tiny, cold tendril of unease snaked its way up my spine. What is it, man? You're acting weird. Did you forget to bring the fancy cheese? I tried to inject humor, but it fell flat, swallowed by the heavy atmosphere. He took a deep breath, the kind that sounds like a deflating balloon. It's about your promotion, Liam. My stomach did a slow, sickening flip. What about it? He finally met my gaze, and the look in his eyes, it was a raw, exposed nerve. Shame, regret, and something that looked a lot like terror. I sabotaged you. I blinked. The words didn't compute. What are you talking about? Sabotaged me? That's not funny, Mark. I forced a laugh, but it sounded hollow, brittle. I'm not joking, Liam. The project. The one that sealed the deal for your promotion? The one that was mysteriously delayed last month? That was me. His voice was barely a whisper, each word a tiny stone dropped into a silent well. My hand trembled, the whiskey sloshing in my glass. You what? I could feel the blood draining from my face. The delay had cost me weeks of sleep, had put me under immense pressure, had made me doubt my own abilities. I'd spent countless nights replaying every step, convinced I'd made a crucial error. They were going to give it to you sooner, he continued, his voice gaining a desperate edge. But I saw an opportunity. A chance to get ahead. Get ahead? This was Mark. Mark, who'd always been the first to celebrate my successes, the one who'd always had my back. This was Mark, who'd been struggling in his own career, perpetually overlooked. An opportunity for what? I finally managed to ask, my voice dangerously low. To make me look incompetent? To set me back? He flinched. To get noticed. To have my work recognized. I planted a bug in the system. A small one. Enough to cause a hiccup. I thought they'd just fix it and move on, and I could step in and be the hero, the one who found the solution. But it spiraled. It became bigger than I intended. I stood up, the chair scraping loudly against the floor. My vision swam. This wasn't a movie. This wasn't a bad dream. This was Mark, my Mark, confessing to actively undermining me, to actively trying to ruin my career. You did this? My voice cracked. You let me stress. You let me doubt myself. You watched me go through hell, and you knew? The betrayal was a physical blow, stealing my breath. He nodded, tears finally starting to stream down his face. I'm so sorry, Liam. I was so jealous. So insecure. I saw you flying, and I was just stuck. It was a moment of weakness, a terrible, selfish mistake. Jealousy. The word hung in the air, heavy and corrosive. I'd always thought we were a team. I'd never considered him a rival, let alone someone who would stoop this low. You think an apology fixes this? I walked to the window, staring out at the indifferent city lights. The promotion, the thing I'd poured my entire being into, suddenly felt tainted. The victory tasted like ash. No, he whispered. I know it doesn't. But I had to tell you. I couldn't live with it anymore. It was eating me alive. I turned back to him, my heart a cold, hard knot. You let me celebrate. You let me pop this expensive whiskey. You sat here, with that smug guilt all over your face, and you let me celebrate my success, a success you actively tried to derail. He didn't respond. He just sat there, a statue of shame. I walked over to the counter and poured myself a large glass of whiskey, neat. My hand still shook, but this time it was with a cold, hard resolve. I downed it in one gulp, the burn a welcome distraction from the fire raging inside me. Get out, Mark. His head snapped up. Liam. Get out. Now. My voice was flat, devoid of emotion. The Mark I knew, the one who would have fought for me, was gone. Replaced by this stranger, this architect of my near failure. He stood up, his shoulders slumped. He didn't look at me as he walked towards the door. He didn't say goodbye. He just left. The click of the lock echoed in the silence, a definitive punctuation mark on our friendship. I stood there for a long time, the empty whiskey glass in my hand. The promotion was still mine, technically. But the victory felt hollow, the joy stolen. I had reached the summit, only to discover the person who had cheered me on the loudest had also been trying to push me off the cliff. The confession hadn't just broken my world, it had revealed the fragile, often deceptive foundations upon which it was built. And now, I had to figure out how to rebuild, piece by shattered piece, on ground I could finally trust.